Hey everyone, it's Dibblee. I'm here again, Frock Talk Television. This episode, yay, I'm your host, and I am the co-producer of Frock Talk Television along with my amazing business partner, Sue Ferrero, who I will bring in a few seconds for those of you that are looking to meet a big brain, techie, brilliant woman who downplays her role all the time. So I am the rah-rah for her. But I'm mostly just grateful that we are able to get our message out there. So Frock Talk, what is it? Frock Talk Television is about being real and about sharing how we, with our own unique talents, can change the world. Often that cannot be done until we remove the frocks that are holding us back. So Frock Talk allows us to have real conversations to inspire you to movement. It is not a sit back on your hands kind of situation. It's all about enjoying and tapping into what makes you the best of you, in spite of the things that we go through, because those things are what shape and make us who we are as we move forward in the world. But before we get started with our fabulous guest, I want to bring on my fabulous business partner, Sue Ferrero, who will play down her role. So let me tell you, big brain, rock star. Sue, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm not going to tell you how much I actually pay Joe to say things like that. But yeah, I mean, I've, like I said, I went into medical school 50 years ago this year. And one of the things that has been amazing to watch is how much older we're living, but not only how much older with a good quality of life we are living. We are replacing joints in 95, 96-year-olds so they can go back to playing golf and that kind of stuff, right? And if you extrapolate forward another 50 years, I think we're going to be living a lot longer. And I'm just passionate that I don't think most folks realize that we're on the edge of massive changes. Mm-hmm. The web is what is going to publicize you, bring you added income. So my mission and my message is to help as many people with the techie side of getting out onto the web and to take that message as well. So that's what I'm doing with Joe, the techie side, but I've also got the message. So that's my role in this world.
Thank you, Sue. I'm telling you, big brain. She doesn't say a lot about it, but I'll tell you, without Sue, Frock Talk Television would not be on the air. So if you are inclined to get your message out there, make sure you connect with Sue. And today I am super excited to bring on our next guest, Tamena Powers, who is, I met Tamena at a transition time in her life, and I didn't actually realize she was in transition at the time, because she, like myself, I would say, and Tamena will speak to this, she was really good at doing what needed to be done and doing what needed to be done in a way that kept everything kind of, it looked like all the balls were in the air all the time and that she had it all going on. And that is a classic symbol of, we look at someone who's successful and we go, oh, she makes it look so easy. She makes it look so easy. Meanwhile, she's pulling her hair out, trying to manage 50 million things all at the same time. And she does it with ease and grace on the outside. But when I met her, she was really, my belief is she was really stepping into her purpose in the world. And I don't want to speak further for Tamena. I'm going to get her to share information with us, and just so grateful to have her as part of 12 for 12, our membership program, and a co-author in Frock Off, Living Undisguised, Freedom Edition. Also grateful to Tamena for her constant support and constant rah-rah for the message that we're bringing into the world to be the change that we seek. So Tamena, welcome. Thank you so much. And I'm going to launch right into it and say, tell us a bit about your journey and how going from that point when we initially met to where you're at today, in 2 easy minutes, but or maybe 3. So give us a breakdown on what that looked like for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and my voice. That was my biggest gift. Meeting you, Joe, was the empowerment of my own voice. And I didn't realize how powerful that was. people always assumed it was my exterior that was the powerhouse. And what really is your true gift for every single person that I know. It is your true voice. And my transition came when I decided to finally step into my God-given talents. And that is people. I love people. That is my bottom line. I love good. I've been a hairstylist for 25 years. I now coach them. I make them feel good from the inside out. And all I can say was shame on me for 40 years for not stepping into that greatness. So the respect that I have for my talents is outstanding, and living a frock-free life has been life-changing for me. And I love to talk. So many people know about my Frock Off, my Frockalicious self-love and self-worth. So that the dash in between that is a lot bigger, but that's the kind of Cole's notes.
I love that. And I think when it's the old saying, when we know better, we do better, right? But the cool thing though, Tamena, and I love that you own kind of the transition for yourself. You do own it. I know this about you. And I think the thing is, you wouldn't be where you are and the gifts you bring to the table had you not been through that. So, I woulda, coulda, shoulda sometimes props up for all of us, right? Because woulda, coulda, shoulda, what if I had done it, 10 years ago? Well, maybe, but maybe we weren't ready. I know for myself, I was in hiding really till 49. And, but now I get to live the best years of my life versus those other years where I just felt like I was kind of on that treadmill of, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? And so I applaud you. I mean, you've made huge shifts. So tell us a bit about what you're doing now. In addition, you kind of alluded to it with regards to working with the stylist. What else are you doing? What type of work are you doing?
Well, the biggest key in my life now is relationships. And I had to dig real deep, and the gift of forgiveness had to be a huge key for me with my business partner. And I don't know how many listeners or viewers are in a business with a partner, but when you're in business with your mother, that's a challenge. And it's even more of a challenge when there is a lot of water under the bridge. It was about owning my stuff and not making my mother responsible for my actions, and knowing that her actions weren't my responsibility. And so we developed a very healthy relationship. At the same time, we were building a very rock solid business model. And what came from that was Powers & Co. And what a gift I have to have the last name as Powers. So we embrace that, and now we are Powersful partners. And we coach women and men in business to be the best that they can be. We came up with this slogan, so to speak. It's shake, shift, and shine. So we encourage people to shake up their thoughts, shift their energy, and shine their brilliance. And I am not the judge of how that's supposed to happen. All I know is that I'm the champion helping make that happen. And with my personal connections with people and my intuition and my mother's business sense, it's amazing to watch the business world within our community grow.
That is awesome. And I want to go back to a couple of things, because you've touched on so many things in just what you shared right now. It's so powerful, because relationships all by themselves are tenuous at best at any given time, but anything worth doing, it takes work. Okay. And it's not always going to be rosy, but being in business with your mother is a whole different league. Okay. It's a whole different ballgame, because when we were talking about this yesterday on Frock Talk, how you have the pink jobs and the blue jobs and the guy, husband, wife kind of thing. You have the mother role and the child role. And no matter how much we work as a mother myself, no matter how much our initial instincts, because you're a mom, our initial instincts are to take care of our child and to make sure that that child, you know, we have expectations. It's a really tough. So for you guys to negotiate, figure out how to do this, I mean, holy, that's amazing. That's a testament, though, for other people that are in partnerships, because, man, if you guys can work that through, it's not, you know, it's not about bad or good. It's about the reality that the dynamics of that relationship are a difficult one to begin with in terms of working together, not in terms of loving each other. And so just, and, you know, you talked about the forgiveness piece and understanding. How often, I'm guessing you see this, I'm guessing you guys would attract a certain, especially certain types of clientele. How often do you meet people that are stuck in the story? Well, that's, you know, that's what happened because that's how I was raised.
Absolutely. And it's the perceptions, judgments, and beliefs, PB&Js put on you. And you know what? A very wise lady once told me that you can have sand thrown at you, but it's up to you to take that sand and make something out of it. And you can be that shiny pearl if you so choose. If not, you can walk around carrying a bag of sand. Yeah,
that's a really good analogy. And I love, you know, this is why I love Frock Talk, because we get to share real stuff. So what, you know, in the work that you're doing now, and I love the shake, shift, and shine. I love that. That's awesome. And PB&J, that's a whole different world for peanut butter and jam now, right? That's awesome. You know, although I do like both, you know, I could go with both, but I love that. That's awesome. So what kind of tools do you use to do the work that you're doing now?
Well, I'm certified in human behaviors and motivators through the DISC, and that's through TTI. So a number of years ago, I was at an eWomen conference, and there was a presenter, and she was speaking on basically stepping into your greatness. And sometimes it's really hard to know what your greatness is when you're in the muck. And I fell in love with the idea of understanding what makes the mind tick. And being a hairstylist, I always was adjusting my personality to make my clients feel better. So I dove into the study of the human mind, and it is simply amazing to me. And so being certified in the DISC has given me so much more in my tool belt. And it helps people understand, number one, what makes them tick, what their motivators are, and what their personality is, because they're two totally different areas. And then they have the ability to identify that in their employees and in customers and in their personal life. And when they realize that it's really just okay to be who they are, they stop owning a lot of stuff. And as business owners, they're even more capable at being able to outsource the things that they, all of a sudden, it clicks in their head that they're just not the strongest in. So that's been a huge tool for us, for sure.
I love, you know, accessing, I'm so with you, because to understand the motivation, just to be able to look at that and maybe have some direction. You know, when I was younger, I'm still to this day, I'm very interested in anything that helps kind of maybe narrow down the why. Like, what is the reason I am attracted to this? For example, you know, way back when I was young, and that was at least, you know, 100 years ago, I remember being in high school, and I remember them talking to us, and I don't know what the testing model was at that time, or what the assessment model was. But I remember someone saying to me, well, you could probably be a funeral director. Now, I don't think that would have worked out well for me, because I need to have this, but it was where I was coming from at the time, probably in terms of how I answered. And I think if we're being held back by Frock, then we give a very different, you know, we answer differently because we're trying to maybe protect ourselves or what have you. And as I said, I remember when we met, and you shared a tiny bit with me as I shared a tiny bit with you, because it's that safe place, right? So when you think back to when you started taking the frocks off for you, was there something key that, you know, started that? Was there something that just, it was that moment, it was that straw that you went, okay, enough is enough? What'd that look like for you?
To be quite honest, it wasn't all that pretty. And it was really raw, and it was really, really scary. It came in a very safe environment, which I can't stress enough.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people feel, you know, when you're sitting in church, that's the time just to let it all hang out, or when you're in a big conference, because, you know, you feel that movement. But sometimes it's also important to honor that and just know that that's the movement inside of you that maybe you can take to a safe place with somebody else, rather than exposing yourself. Because sometimes when you do that, you kind of then don't know what to do. How do you pick it all back up again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen that happen, and I thought, I don't think that's for me. And I ended up in a session with one of my coaches, and we were working on my purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, my purpose in life is to be useful. And, you know, like, I'm good at doing dishes. I'm good at cleaning the house, and I can manage anybody, anywhere, anytime, any place. You give me anything and I can get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, no, what is your purpose in this life?
Mm-hmm.
And it was earth shattering to me that at 40 years old, I didn't know my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And when it finally came about, and it was about 4 hours of intense conversation and soul searching, my purpose now is to create and host opportunities that infuse people around me to shine. And once I finally realized that it wasn't my responsibility to make these people better people, but my joy giving them the environment and surrounding them with all of my people that I vibrate up here with, people just grow. And once I realized that surrounding myself with people like you, my mother and Palmer and Miner, you know what? You don't have a chance to go down.
No.
So that was my waking moment when I realized that, you know what, my lifelines are all within inside of me, but my champions are the ones that are outside. And that's when I realized I needed to start being a champion for myself, so then I could be the true champion for all of these amazing women that are around me. And men too. Don't get me wrong. I like men too. But women.
I'm with you on that. I think it's very easy for those of us that are doers, and it's very easy for us to step up and step into someone else's life and help them go to that place. Okay, it's very easy because we're maybe not doing it for ourselves at the time. And I used to say, and you heard me because you've known me quite a while, I used to say, I want to live vicariously through you. There was a reason I said that, and it was this: I wasn't able to be 100% for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. I know why I wasn't, and I own that fully. I was petrified that the man I was running from would find me, and he would, as he said, finish the job. He was a serial killer. It was scary. But it became so much a pattern of who I was, even when I wasn't in any imminent threat, even when there was no imminent danger for me. I still acted like that. And I love what you talk about, you know, just finding your true purpose. So it's one thing to find it. It's another thing to own it. And it's another thing to say, I'm going to do it. And I also love when you said, you know, we need to surround ourselves, because here's the problem. We are not a flipping island. We cannot do this by ourselves. And if we want to be empowered or change things, and if we want to empower others, then we need to be held accountable too. You know, I have coaches because it's important that I have coaches. If I want to raise my craft, so because you've been a stylist and you help other stylists, this is how I look at it. The haircut of the 50s is not the haircut of today. It might be fun for a night, but it's not the haircut of today, you know? And that's only one small element. Or the person I was 10 years ago is not the person I am today. And even if I had stepped out 10 years ago, I still would not be that same person, because if I'm not evolving, I can't help anyone, you know. And I love what you talk about, you know, surrounding yourself. And really, that's where the accountability comes in, you know. When you, before we even started our interview today, you heard Sue and I just kind of getting ready for what's going on next week. And something as simple as just laying out your tasks, like knowing where you're going and saying, okay, well, we got to do this, this, and this. That's all part of being surrounded and sort of being accountable. That's a simple piece, but there's big stuff. When you put yourself in a position where you have access to knowledge, you know, access to skill sets that you don't have, and you've said this yourself, you surround yourself with people that know something maybe that you don't, so that you can bring it to your tribe, correct? That is the difference between somebody who's evolved and somebody who, and not, if you're watching this, please know, it's not a judgment. Here's what I know to be true. If you find yourself going, you know, hearing, so say, for example, someone says to you, oh, we just achieved this great success, and you find yourself questioning, and I'm talking to the viewers right now, if you find yourself saying, well, why not me? That's a clue. That's a clue that something inside you is missing and you're feeling something. Pay attention to that. It's not about the envy, jealousy thing. It's not that. What it is there's something that's not being met in your life. So I love when you talked about that, Tamena. I love that you're acknowledging that we're not an island. We have to do this collectively, right? So if there was one thing that you would tell people about, you know, a frog holding them back right now, one thing you tell them to do, what would you say?
Oh, that's a tough one to answer, because there's never just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the best answer that I can give you is, if you can't stand and stare at yourself in the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
and really be able to look really deep, talk about doing that, you know, brushing your teeth. I'm the only one who brushes my teeth. You know, I'm standing there looking at myself in the mirror. One of my moments when I had the biggest change was I had somebody else stand behind me and make me look in the mirror. And that person, believe it or not, he was my 21-year-old son at the time. Mm-hmm. And to have him stand there and tell me all the goodness that he could see in me. And he said, Mom, I know you've got those deep, dark circles. You're tired. Mm-hmm. But you have to start believing in you the way I believe in you.
Wow.
And that was, honestly, for a mother, I was like, wow, I raised them an amazing kid. But at the same time, it was life changing. So if you can't see your gifts right off the bat, like everybody else can, honestly, again, I'm a people person. So to pick somebody that you can love and trust, that knows you, just to mirror who they see in you. I would think that would be very powerful and not hurtful, and it would be very genuine.
Yeah, I totally agree. And what a powerful story. You know, just our children are a reflection, and yet they're a reflection of what we've taught even when we didn't know we were teaching it, you know, and what an amazing gift. And just to have that moment, that's the story you'll hold in your heart for the remainder of your life, and will touch other people, because that's very touching. And to have a young man to be able to do that just speaks volumes to how he will be in his relationships. And that's a beautiful gift. So, you know, that in and of itself is a congratulations, because clearly you were demonstrating, even when you were going through your own process, that that this is what love looks like, because they don't just come up with this stuff, you know, they have to learn it somewhere. So kudos to you on that. And I think also, just in what you've been sharing, I think the message I'm hearing from you, and I would like you to speak to this, is that the world really needs each of us to step into our power. So just share a little bit about that as well, please.
Well, I was soul searching, and I was always thinking that I needed to line myself up with somebody better, somebody faster, smarter. Because I'm a team player. I've always played sports, and so if I was mediocre on the team, boy, I wasn't going to stay there very long. I needed to be the best of the best of the best. That's just my competition inside of me. And then I realized that I can make my own sandbox. I don't need to play in somebody else's sandbox. I like to be in other people's sandboxes, but I really needed to embrace who I was. And for quite some time, being a hairstylist almost seemed like an X on my back because it's not a profession. And I carried that around for a very, very long time. And then I realized, you know, the people that I touched during those 25 years and continuing, but then instead of lining myself with people that really didn't have the same synergy and the same goals, wasn't working for me.
Nope.
And so I was just pretending, you know. I remember sitting at conferences and thinking, wow, all these people are doing a lot of stuff. Like, they're doing stuff. And I thought, what stuff am I doing? And I undervalued that. And once I realized, and I can't stress enough, even if you don't pay a coach, if you can just line yourself with a mentor, you know, they can help bring you up. And some of my mentors have brought in a lot of interesting things into my life. Hey, Tamena, you should do this. Hey, look at that. This would be a really good idea for you. And I've said yes, and I've said a lot of no's. Right?
Yeah.
But some of the things that I said yes to were really hard, and they forced me to grow in areas that I wasn't able to unless I put myself in that situation. So the greatness that comes from that is either you're gonna fall or you're gonna run. And if you fall, you have to get back up. And you might not do it really well. I don't know if you've ever fallen. I mean, I was walking downstairs in front of everybody wearing high heels, and one of my heels like flipped right off. I have no idea. And I was more worried about saving my cell phone than I was about saving myself, right? I was like, I just bought this $500 cell phone, and I grabbed onto the landing, and I just like did this like tumble and roll, and I thought, oh, well, this is how God keeps me. Because I was strutting and I was thinking, I've got it going on. But you know what? The universe just gives you things every once in a while that says, hey, you need to get up and you need to grow. So in saying that, I've put myself in situations professionally and personally that I wouldn't otherwise do. Going out and networking, that was really, really tough. Going into a room of people, you don't know a single person. And people are very judgy. So they're like, oh, tall, blonde, skinny, I'm not going to talk to her. And it's like, how can you not want to talk to me? I want to talk to everybody in the room, right? So just putting yourself out there and being able to surround yourself with different things, and knowing that the gifts that God have given you, you are allowed to embrace them. So the personal branding tool for me is huge. It's hair, it's makeup, it's your clothes, it's the colors that you vibrate wearing, it's the jewelry you wear. So how you show up in your life seems to be really important to me. So I thought, well, I'm sure it's important to everybody around me. Well, not everybody, but a lot of my key clients, it really, really is. So I think the best thing you can do is find things that absolutely complement what you're already doing. Because if you look deep, you know, if you're always been like a rower and you stop doing it, you know what? You have to go do it competitively. If you've painted, you know, Kelly Filardo, she's taken up painting, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah.
You never knew she could do that.
No.
And she's doing it. And she's doing it without that feeling of, is this good enough? Because that's the key. No matter what, you are always good enough for today. That's my bottom line.
I totally agree. You know, I just having that vision of you falling only because I fell upstairs. Like, how do you fall upstairs? Not down the stairs. Down makes logical sense. And I've known you a while, so in all your gracefulness, at least you fell the right way. You know, if you're gonna fall. And you're right, the universe does teach you. And I agree, stepping into also just challenging yourself to learn things. And, I know for you that being an entrepreneur means freedom, and it means allowing you to express yourself. And I want to just, on one of the points that you kind of really resonated with me, in terms of the, how we present, because how we are going to be judged. Let's not be, as much as we will evolve, there's going to be a certain amount of first impression kind of thing, okay? And I used to dress for my final in college. I dress all up, makeup, you name it. I went to my final like looking like I had actually put some effort into it, okay? I didn't show up in sweat. I mean, in some ways, the professors would look at me like, is she got a job interview? Like, why is she here like this? Like, I'd pulled an all-nighter studying because I was a single mom. But I had the belief if I dressed up, and I still have this belief, if I dressed and presented the best I could in that, whatever that looked like, I would actually do better. And guess what? I did. So knowing yourself, those things. So, I always had those glimpses of brilliance without knowing why. Now I at least understand them, but yeah, it's very powerful. And, I want to thank you for being with us and for sharing who you are. And, I remember you saying to me, Jo, I came to this workshop and holy cow, I want to run away now because I don't think I want to be, because we were doing Frock Talk and we were exposing frocks that, and you actually, I don't think you really know this, but I want to say it publicly. You actually opened my eyes to that frock of unworthiness that we talked about so many times. You opened my eyes, and I don't really know why I didn't clue into that. I always knew there was the whole self-love thing, but I guess we just didn't think about the root of it. And it was very, even though I knew you were going through transition because you were always open with me as much as you were comfortable, you really helped create Frock Talk to even be more. But I remember you going, I want to run for the hills. I want out. I do not want to be here right now. And I see you now because you stepped into everything for yourself. It's nothing to do with Frock, with Frock Off or Frockalicious. This has to do with you saying, I damn well own my life and I'm going to live it full on. So if you could share one parting thing with the people that are watching this today and hearing from you, what would that be? What sentence would you say to them, or what's something you would say to them to just get them thinking this is the essence of who you are and what you think needs to happen in their life?
So the one thing that I've learned is that you can't change what's happened to you. That those are actual gifts as well too, believe it or not. And all of those traumas and different things that I've lived through in my life have made me way less judgmental of other people, because you have no idea what somebody's going through. A lady said to me, you're always in a hurry, Tamena. And I said, I know, because I got a lot of things to do. And I said, I encourage you to hang out and try to keep up in my footsteps, because I am in a hurry. I always just feel like I got so many things to do because there's just so many exciting things out there. But I also realized too that it's important to calm your mind, and that some of the chaos, like, Jo, you said it, you've said it once before. It's like, oh, I'm the common denominator here, right? Once I realized that I was the common denominator and that some of the chaos in my life was caused by my thoughts. And so your thoughts become your actions, and then your actions become your life. So once you kind of clean up your mind, and believe it or not, I didn't think I would ever say this, meditating is something so powerful. I'm still not into yoga, but meditating has really been a key, and setting daily intentions. If you can set 3 intentions with 3 personal practices every single day, you really don't have time to mess up during the day. And drink your water. If you stay hydrated, you stay alert.
Yeah,
I know it doesn't sound like a big, aha moment and stuff, but it's what's been changing me is just setting my daily intentions is huge.
I do think that's huge, because we get too busy letting life do us versus us doing life. And that, that is the killer. So thank you. And thank you for sharing your wisdom. I want to invite Sue in to share her final thoughts for the day. But again, Tamena, what a gift. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for being part of our movement and being the change. And thank you for living your own frockalicious life and you know, taking no prisoners in a good way. So thank you again for being with us. And Sue, I'd love you to add in your thoughts for the day as well.
Okay, well, Tamena, I haven't met you before today. And I just want to say what an absolute pleasure and what a privilege it's been to sit here listening to you and Joe talk, because I'm right with you. And, you know, it's funny. I love people too. And I think we both see potential. In fact, I know, well, Joe and I talk about this quite a bit. You see potential and you know that the folks don't know it's there. And I have my dad, he died with regrets. He was a coulda, shoulda, didn't. And I think that is so sad, because this life ain't a dress rehearsal. So I think to have you, Tamena, out there telling folks that there is more to their life. And we're so blessed because I have a very global approach, and I'm really interested in taking this to developing countries too, where folks don't have the opportunities that we have to empower others. And I get sobby, Joe knows this, but I just really appreciate what you said, Tamena, because it's hit me home. And if it's me, it's going to hit everybody else that, you know, to live your best life and find someone like you to show you the path. So thank you very much. I'm very honored to have been here today.
Awesome. It's so true, right? And this is the beauty for Sue and I every day, that we get to talk to change agents of the world. And, you know, for you, those of you watching, take the advice. You know, and Tamena said it may not be a big aha. It is a big aha. Just setting 3 intentions, just that basic thing, setting 3 intentions can change your life, because you then set the course of the day rather than just, you know, it's kind of like driving somewhere and not knowing where you're going. But when you set your intentions, you create your own roadmap. And I love when she talked about, you know, drink more water. That is not a simple thing, because I'll tell you what, I have my water. I will say I am a confessed frockaholic. So here's a confession. The hardest thing I've had to do since making my own transition is to actually force myself to drink water every day. I found some ways to do it. It sounds small, but it's not. And as Sue's saying, you know, it really is about creating this global movement. And it's about change agents coming together. And so, you know, if you're inspired and you're watching this today, please take heed from what Tamena shared. Take heed to know that you are a gift. Don't dare stand in the shadows anymore saying, oh, that person or this person. And, you know, as Tamena said, don't talk about the stuff. Start doing. You start doing life instead of letting life do you. Don't stand in your story any longer, but rather stand on it and be the change. You know, we can't wait to see you again. We thank you for your time, and we're honored that you took the time to sit and just listen to us today and reach out. Tamena, we're going to be putting all the contact information for Tamena below the video. You'll see that shortly. So for now, have a frockalicious day. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon. Don't forget to tune in to Frock Talk Television for the next episode. Take care. Until then, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.